Hey everyone, welcome back to Philosophical Fall Guy. Here we talk to Hollywood's top stunt performers and go behind the scenes to hear their stories. Then we dive a little deeper to see what drives them and what they ponder about in those moments of quiet between the chaos. All right, let's get into it. Our guest today is an incredible stuntman. He has 137 credits according to IMDb. He has 118 of those are stunt credits, 6 second unit director credits, and 9 actor credits. He's known for The Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Doctor Strange, and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, just to name a few. He has won a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Action Performance by a Stunt Ensemble for Black Panther, and was nominated for the same category 4 other times for the movies Transformers: Dark of the Moon, Doctor Strange, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And he was also nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Stunt Coordination for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was a former professional water skier with 2 world records and a national championship. And besides flying airplanes and hang gliders and racing motorcycles, he competes in Ironman Triathlons. Dang. I'd like to welcome stuntman extraordinaire and my good friend, Hank Amos. Hank?
Hey, Duke.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, bro.
My pleasure.
I've been trying to get you here for a little while, but you're a busy guy.
Well, when I saw some of the other guests you had, I was like, why the hell does he want me on here?
Come on, man.
Noon Orsatti, Corey Eubanks, Heidi Moneymaker.
Oh, yeah, there are some legends.
Yeah,
sure.
legends. So I'm honored to be invited. Trust me.
Dude, I'm honored you're here. So I usually like to just kind of get right into things.
Great.
And the way we start out usually is, what did you do before you were a stuntman?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions when people ask me, how did you get into stunts?
Right.
Because if you're like me, there's 1,000 different stories, right? I mean, there are some avenues of entry that are a little more prolific than others, like gymnastics or martial arts. But
Sure.
I mean, the range goes all over the map, from cowboys to, you just can't put a label on it. But my particular specialty was water skiing. And back when I was skiing, there wasn't wakeboarding yet. So my sport was freestyle jumping.
Okay.
And back then that was as extreme as you could get with water skiing. So we would do all the flips and twists off the jump ramp and a lot of the same tricks they do on wakeboards now, but we'd hit a ramp at like 60 miles an hour and fly 140 feet across the water and hope we landed on our
140
skis.
feet?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, those were some good wrecks.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, and when I got towards the end of my pro career, back when I was water skiing, there was actually a pro water ski tour. So we were on ESPN. We were sponsored. It was the Budweiser Pro Water Ski Tour.
Oh, wow, cool.
We started doing all the flips and twists. Instead of using 2 jump skis, we were only using 1. So we were on a slalom jump ski, cutting at the ramp, hitting it at 60, doing full twisting backflips and.
Crazy, man.
Oh man, looking at some of the videos now, I wonder how I can still walk.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
How old were you when you were doing all that?
I started skiing pro when I was 17,
17?
and retired when I was 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that, so you traveled all around doing that basically?
Yeah. So I would always have a full-time job at one of the water ski shows like SeaWorld or Cypress Gardens,
really?
An entertainment venue where people would go and we'd perform water ski shows. But on the
I
weekends.
remember seeing those water ski shows. We went down to Waterworld SeaWorld. Yeah.
Exactly. So I would be the guy that was, doing the pyramids and the barefooting and all that. But on the weekends, I'd fly to whatever city the tour stop was in and compete against, the greatest water skiers on the planet.
Wow.
So anyway, my entry into stunts was I was dating a young lady who I'm not going to mention out of, respect for her. She's probably like, don't tell anyone you ever dated me. But she was a great pro water skier. And she said, hey, I'm going to go audition for this live show over at Universal Studios in Orlando, this boat show. Will you want to just come hang out? And I was like, yeah, I'll go over there with you. But I was young and cocky. I just thought the world was going to be mine through water skiing.
Yeah.
Oh boy, was I wrong. So I drove over there with her just to hang out with her, and I get to this audition and there's 285 people at this audition. It was a cattle call. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching these people try to hit mini tramps and all this stuff. So I'll never
A lot of them get cut out pretty quick.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was bored out of my mind. So I went up and the gentleman giving the audition was Mark Chadwick. Do you know Mark?
Yeah.
So he was assisting the audition. I remember it's the first time I ever met Mark. I said, hey, I'm not on the roster, but do you mind can I jump in? I just want to, I'm bored. He's like, yeah, no problem. So out of the two,
you weren't even scheduled to audition.
Not even meant to audition.
Really?
Yeah. I was just there for this
awesome
female friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so out of the 280 some odd people, 3 people got picked. And it was me, my girlfriend, and Mike Gaines.
Oh, Mike Gaines.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and that's how we all got into, stunts. And once I started doing the show at Universal, I started realizing there were stunts outside of, live shows and commercials. And
I actually didn't know that your in was live shows as well. That's how I got into it too.
The dreaded live show guys, right?
I was on the West Coast, so I was doing Waterworld at Universal out there and a bunch of other shows and stuff. But live shows are so much fun, man.
They are so much fun, and we had such a bad rap for a long time, right? Remember when it was, if he's a live show guy, he's not a real stunt guy. Well, that kind of changed when all the live show guys moved from Florida out to LA.
Yeah.
You had guys like Mike Massa and Jim Churchman and Mark Chadwick, Cheryl Bermeo. So
well, what's funny is a lot of the even LA guys, I found out, started in live shows. They just didn't tell anybody.
Oh yeah.
They just kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
And then until this was in the 90s, and then I don't know, somewhere around 2000 or so, all of a sudden it was okay.
Yeah.
You had live show experience. Oh, great. That's cool, man. You're doing stuff every day, all day long. But before that time, it was like, oh, you're a live show guy.
I think that's just natural that, the stunt guys just didn't want the business to be infiltrated,
Right.
But so that was my background. And then once I was at Universal, I met some awesome people, a guy by the name of John Zimmerman.
Yeah, I know John.
Yep. Yeah. God bless John Zimmerman. He's created so many great stunt performers out of his backyard.
Right.
Have you ever been to John's backyard?
I haven't been to his backyard. He came over to Japan.
Okay.
And helped with some training over in Universal Studios. But I've never been to his place.
Yeah. He had high fall towers and Russian swings and mini tramps. And we'd hit air rams back there all day long. He had a full trapeze. Like it was the stunt playground. And
he's like the Florida version of Bob Yerkes.
That's right.
Sounds like kind of.
That's right. And he actually, John Zimmerman and Bob Yerkes worked together in the circus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was literally Bob Yerkes was West Coast and John Zimmerman was East Coast. Yeah. That's cool. Looking back on it, I owe that man so much. I owe John so much because he did it. He didn't expect anything in return. He would open up his home and he would open up his knowledge and he would just willingly give his experience to try to help other people move up,
that's cool.
And not only was it great to learn stunts as a skill, but it was great to kind of watch him and be like, oh, okay, here's a man that's, made it to a certain level, but he's just as concerned with giving back as he is of getting to that next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned a lot from him. John, if you're watching, cool. I love you, buddy.
Hopefully we'll get him watching.
Yeah.
So you kind of told me how you kind of broke into the stunt world through the live shows there. But what was like one of your first shows, one of your first films that you got to work on?
One of my first big movies, and here's, again, I'm going to keep referring back to people that have gone out of their way for me throughout my career. I mean, that's a recurring theme. So many people have helped me out and just taken an interest. My buddy Mike Massa, who I'll tell you a story later about me and Mike. We didn't always get along.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, it was really interesting. But once I came to my wits and realized that just because he was more talented and good looking than me didn't make him the enemy, Mike. He's my brother, and yeah, we formed a great friendship and a bond, and he called me out to be on the boat crew of Speed 2.
Oh, cool.
So I was just out there driving a boat, because that whole movie was shot on the water.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I forgot that was like all on the water.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, that we don't make movies like that anymore. Mm-mm. That was full throttle. Everything was real.
Yeah.
We had a massive cruise ship that was crashing through a real town. That movie was wild.
Wow.
But I got out there and I was driving boats, and the director had mentioned that he wanted someone to do a wakeboard flip and crash into the side of this cruise ship as it was crashing through the town. And Mike Massa and Bill Scharf, who was actually the stunt double for Jason Patrick, they're like, Hank can do that.
Cool.
So I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to do a stunt for this movie, right? So sure enough, comes the day I did this wakeboard flip. And back then, wakeboards had pointy tips on them. That's how long ago this was.
That's how long ago
Yeah,
it was.
wakeboarding wasn't even a thing yet.
Yeah.
And so I did this flip, and I crashed into the side of this. Literally, it was a big fishing trawler that they had put the whole front end of a cruise ship on to make it look real. But it was, 150 feet high, and the whole ship was about 150 feet. It was massive.
Wow.
And so I did the flip. I come cutting in at the boat, and I'm hauling ass, and all I see is this wall in front of me. So I'm like, I jump up in the air. The wakeboard slams the boat. Bam! My head hits the boat, knocks me senseless. Next thing you know, I'm about 20 feet underwater.
Wow.
Because the draft of the boat was pulling me down. I didn't realize the wakeboard was acting as like a sea anchor, and it was catching the water.
Oh, geez.
So I kicked this wakeboard off my feet really quick, and now I'm literally like I'm looking up, and the surface of the water is 20 feet up there, and this massive ship is going past me. So I'm pushing off the ship like this, trying to kick to the surface, and I came up about 150 feet down the way, and everyone's like, "We thought you died."
You're dead.
And I was like, "I thought I died too." But did it look good? And they're like, "Yeah, it was great."
Did it look good?
But it was awesome, man. So yeah, my hands were all cut up from the oysters and barnacles on the ship as I was trying to.
See, they don't do stunts like that.
Oh, not a chance.
No.
No, that wasn't even the scariest one we did on that show.
What was the scariest one?
So, having seen my inability to be killed, they asked me to double Jason Patrick along with Bill Scharf. And Bill Scharf is an amazing stuntman, a dear friend of mine.
Yes.
But they asked him to do this gag that was horrific. There's a seaplane that's trying to take off, and he shoots it with a spear gun and literally gets yanked out of the boat that he's on and is skipping behind the seaplane as the winch on the spear gun pulls him up to the plane. And that's how he, catches up. So Bill is doing this, take 2, take 3, and he's getting the what kicked out of him. And Bill's finally like, hey, he goes, Hank, get Hank in here. Have Hank get a haircut. So they cut off my bleach blonde hair, dyed it all black, and next thing you know, Bill and I are tag team, and we're skipping across the water behind a seaplane.
Wow.
Grabbing onto the pontoon as the plane is taking off into the air. And I can always remember thinking, oh my God, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
This is awesome. But
That is so cool to hear those stories, man. Because like you said, like they don't do those kind of practical stunts like that anymore, man.
No, yeah. Man, and one more on that. I'm sorry to keep going on it, but
no, please do.
There was another one. So they built this entire town about 200 feet out on the water. So basically, it was the town was floated on top of this water, but they had this massive ship on railroad tracks. And when it came time for the cruise ship to crash through the town, this train came rolling down the tracks, and it was literally splitting through the docks, the buildings, the everything. So when it came time to do it, and it was all real. Real wooden beam docks, like everything was real.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, Hank, you're going to be on the front of the dock. And I'm like, okay. So here comes this cruise ship, and it's like out of the movies, right? I watched the shadows start to come over me, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And finally, I'm like, I'm not waiting anymore. So I remember turning around, and everyone else that was on the dock with me was already like 50 gone, dude. And I'm like, So I dove in the water. And man, I don't know. You know how sound travels underwater?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Dude, when the lumber started coming apart and that place started, it sounded like the apocalypse, man. I'll never forget it. I thought the world was ending.
That's cool.
I swam underwater as far and as long as I could, just in the hopes that I wasn't going to get...
That you weren't going to get crushed.
Crushed, yeah. But, oh, man, that was exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah. I love those kind of stories. Those
It was wild.
That's wild. So what were a few more after that? Once you started getting some steam going there?
Yeah. So again, the recurring theme, my buddy Mike Massa goes out to LA and starts to really take off. He gets invited to join the fight team on Matrix 2.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they had kind of run through all the 6-foot guys, 190-pound guys in LA that could fight, and they needed a couple more guys to be on the Matrix or on the Mr. Smith stunt team, where he turned into like 100 of himself.
Oh yes, yeah. So
Massa tells Chad Stahelski, he's like, I know a guy in Florida that could come out here and do this for you. And Chad's like, all right, give me his number. So I get a phone call from Chad Stahelski. Right, never talked to this guy in my life. He's like, Massa tells me you're pretty good. And I was like, I don't know. I think so. And he goes,
it's always this daunting question.
Oh, dude, this is my interview on the phone.
Yeah.
He's like, well, can you do a standing backflip? And I was like, yes, sir, all day long. And he goes, can you take a beating? And I was like, yes, sir, all day long. And he's like, all right, I'm going to have Travel call you. And that was my interview for Matrix 2.
That was your interview.
Yeah. And so I went out there and it was a beating.
Yeah. Oh, so you were one of the Mr. Smith guys?
One of the Mr. Smiths, yeah.
Wow. So, like the scene that comes to mind, I think it was Matrix 2, where they're kind of like in that courtyard.
That's right.
Yeah, and he's got the light post or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just beating them off.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that was only 12 of us.
Really?
Yeah, there were 12 Mr. Smiths, and we had to learn every portion of the fight. So we'd shoot this pie. We shoot this way with 12 guys, and then we'd turn the camera, and then all 12 of us would do the new choreography for this direction, and then we'd do that for each quarter of the pie.
Oh.
And it took 2.5 weeks to film that fight. It was unbelievable. Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. We took a beating, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember like just ratchets and everything all over the place.
There were nights that I'd come home from work and literally just lay in bed. Show up to work the next day. All right, let's go. Like nothing hurt, but oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. What we could do when we were young, right?
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. The Matrix 2, man, that was, the whole Matrix trilogy just was such a game changer in so many ways, and especially in the stunt world, and just the world in general, just the ideas and stuff that it brought to people. It was really neat to be a part of that. Yeah.
And that was my intro to some amazing people like Dave Leach, Brad Martin, Mike Gunther, Marcus Young. Everybody that was on that team, they were all heavy hitters.
Yeah.
But for some reason they let me be in the club. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Because you probably did you have fight stuff before that?
Not
on your resume?
Bit. No. Zero martial artist with 10 guys that go to the Inosanto Academy, hardcore martial artists, right? So wow. I realized when I went in there, I said, the only way I'm going to survive this and not get destroyed by these guys is if I hit the ground harder than any of them. That's the only way I'm going to gain respect. Yeah. And that's what I did. Right. Every take for 2.5 weeks, I would almost kill myself and get back up and do it again. Didn't matter how many takes. I was promised myself, you're either going to die here or you're going to earn these guys respect.
Wow.
And so I'd like to think I earned their respect.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, because that kind of mentality is... Sometimes that's exactly what you have to have.
It was my one shot.
What's that?
It was my one shot.
It's your one shot.
Yeah, I was a Florida guy.
Right.
And here I am in one of the biggest films of all time with some of the top
best martial arts,
top
stunt
tier
guys.
stunt people, and it was my one shot, right?
Yeah,
So I went for it.
cool. Good for you, man.
Yeah, it was
I'm glad
crazy.
I'm glad it worked out and it didn't kill you.
Close, very close.
Yeah. But I mean, I've kind of been there myself a little bit.
Yeah,
Where you're thrown in these fight scenes and there's, I did karate and kempo when I was young, but I didn't keep up with it that much. And
Yeah.
you're in these fight scenes and there's just these amazing martial arts guys all around you, and they're in the corner doing flips and tricks and twists and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, I can't do all that shit, so if I got to hit the ground or I got to do anything, I got to make it look really good.
That's it. That's it. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So what was well, you kind of actually just answered that question for me. I was going to say, what was one of your first really big shows where it felt like you had made it and you were in? And it sounds kind of like that Matrix 2 was kind of one of them.
No, you know when I felt like things were going to be okay is when I went and did Matrix 2.
Mm-hmm.
I came back to Florida, back to the same old, back on the live show. No films in Florida. There were maybe 2 or 3 films a year with, a bunch of stunt guys fighting over it.
Right.
And so I was thinking about, if I really want to pursue this and I really want to be good, I have to go to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And my phone rang, and it was Brad Martin.
Mm.
And Brad said, I just worked with him on Matrix 2. He said, hey, I'm coordinating a movie in Hungary called Underworld. Do you want to be on the team? And I was like, absolutely. And so that for me was kind of like, okay, obviously I made kind of a good impression.
Yeah.
To be invited back.
Right.
And, to this day, Brad's one of my best friends. Him and I have been almost in fist fights before. We screamed at each other on set. He ripped my shirt off on a football field one day. Like, we've been fisticuffs before.
Wow.
But I would die for that man. Yeah. And not just because of what he's done for me, just because him and I have been through a lot, right? So to me, he tells me that you can go through hell and high water with a person and still come out the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So thank you, Brad. I love you.
Cool. I'm hoping to have him on this show here pretty soon.
Oh, you should.
eventually.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Brad, come on, buddy.
Bring it.
Buckle up.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Yeah. Brad oh my gosh, man, that guy, he's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so smart, but he's got some ideas and some, some thought processes that'll literally make you go, whoa. You're going to
to dig into that brain.
Yeah. You're going to walk away from the conversation, kind of looking at things a little different.
Cool.
And I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it too, man. I love it. So, what's a couple more of some of the gags that you remember that you really, that you really kind of
from the stunt side of things? Man,
how about this? Is there any? Well, the one you kind of said, did any of them that kind of went sideways that you remember?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've had some doozies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
If you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually don't, but
You usually don't?
no. But I'm gonna let it fly today because
Okay.
I promised myself if I was gonna go through the trouble of being here, I was gonna be as transparent as possible. So,
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
what do you want to know?
Well, like for example, I broke my neck like years ago doing a Batman show, and just the the things that, because there's a lot of times when it's out of your control.
Yeah.
It's not your fault necessarily.
Right, absolutely.
And, but just experiencing and having to recover from stuff like that is a big part of the stunt business.
Yeah, it is.
I think.
If you're a full-time stunt person and you haven't been hurt yet, you will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of anyone that's made it through a career unscathed. If they have, God bless them. But coming from an extreme sport athletics background, I was used to getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like freestyle jumping was gnarly. We'd snap our ankles, break our feet.
Mm-hmm.
I've torn just about every muscle in my body. So I was already kind of in tune to the fact that if you do get hurt, it's not game over.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to get your mind right, because that's the worst thing, right?
Right.
When you have a severe injury, you have to control your emotions in terms of, is this the end of my career? Because I've had a few that I was like, this might be the end. So I learned just to kind of control that mental process that allowed me to heal without worry. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, because I think if you're stressed about healing, it's going to take longer.
Mm-hmm.
I
think so too.
And it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And no injury takes the same amount of time to heal.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
No.
I've had the littlest injury that was the most nagging, most debilitating, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
When I broke my neck,
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, you didn't get paralyzed." I'm laying in the hospital, and they're like, they come back and your neck's broken. I'm like, I thought you're dead or paralyzed if you break your neck. And like, well, you didn't sever your spinal cord at all. You're very lucky. And I was like, okay, so this is a big injury, I guess. I never felt much pain from it.
Right.
They told me to wear a neck brace for like 6 months. I couldn't, like 3 weeks. I'm like, I'm done with this thing.
Yeah.
And it just felt great. And then there's these stupid little injuries where you just fall wrong on your shoulder, and that damn thing just will not get better.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Yeah. But one of the most significant injuries that I sustained was on a movie called Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. So wow. I was one of the creepers. So I'm in this big creature costume.
That was a creepy movie, man.
It was creepy, right?
Yeah.
We filmed that in Florida in the middle of August. And when I tell you that wearing that rubber suit for 12 hours at a time, once they glued you in, you weren't coming out.
Man.
I would get out of that thing at night, and it was buckets of bouillabaisse, just human, just whatever. Sometimes I had to pee in there because they couldn't cut me out. Who knew what was coming out of that suit at night? I'm like, sorry, boys.
Sorry.
Yeah. But so that was the joke. But I was doing a car hit. There's a portion of the movie where the creeper jumps up on the hood of this car, and then he does a backflip off and then gets hit by the car.
Yeah.
That was me. Yeah. Nice. And so Jim Churchman, one of the greatest riggers of all time, and he was back then and he is today. Mm-hmm. And Jim, the way that Jim's mind works is amazing to me. Mm. And he's like, what do you think, instead of you just doing a car hit, we're going to put you on a ratchet with a slack take up with a twisty wrap. So when the car hits you, I'll fire the ratchet and you'll literally just skip off the windshield and fly in the air. And I was like, that sounds fucking awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it'd never been done before. And so the night came, and here we go. Jennifer Badger's driving the car. I'm in the middle of the street and I'm hyped, right?
Yeah, I bet.
I'm hyped up, too hyped up. Let this be a lesson. Car's coming at me, and I should have just stood there, but I took 2 steps into it. And those 2 steps that I took put just enough slack in the line for the slack take up to be about a second late. Oh, wow. So what happened is I hit the hood of the car, broke through the windshield, and then the ratchet fired.
Then it fired.
So imagine this. The car's going, 15 miles an hour this way. Mm-hmm. The ratchet line's on this angle, coming this way. I got a full twist on me. When all those forces combined and my rib cage hit the top of the roof coming out, it was like, it was an impact that to this day, I can't even explain. Shattered the whole left side of my rib cage. Yeah. Broke 4 ribs here, and 2 broke off my spine.
Damn, Hank.
And one of the ribs went through my left lung. And the worst part is the hip that the cable was attached to.
Yeah. So
when I hit, I wish I had the playback for you. It's gnarly. I went flying into the air like 25 extra feet. Like it slung shot me. And the hip that was hooked to the cable was the side that all the ribs were broken on. So when I deadmanned into the cable, I just can't even describe to you the sound that it made and the pain. My entire rib cage basically just got ripped open, and that was really scary because I thought I was going to die. Yeah,
sure.
I did. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't comprehend the amount of damage that had been done because every little movement I made, it sounded like crunching Rice Krispies. And I couldn't breathe because my diaphragm had been so traumatized that it seized up. So I'm lying in the street and I'm like, and And I can't breathe. And I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was bleeding out internally. And I remember kind of coming in and out of consciousness. I passed out a couple times, and I literally woke up in the hospital a couple days later. They had put me in a kind of a medically induced coma. And I woke up in the hospital, and I was like, fuck yeah. Excuse my French, but I was like so fucking stoked. I'm like, I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah.
But there's something in the tip of my you-know-what. What is that? Like, they had a catheter. I was like, but I'm alive. It doesn't matter. But yeah. So that one was a doozy. That was 6 months of sleeping upright. And,
oh, man.
yeah.
Wow. That's a huge injury, man.
Yeah, it was
That's
bad.
huge.
But I felt bad about that to this day. I felt bad for Jim because the gag was designed perfectly. The processes behind it were designed perfectly. But remember earlier when you said there's that one little microcosm of not knowing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was my fault because I took too many steps. I came in too hot.
Yeah.
And it didn't allow the take up to do what it had to do. So Jim pressed the button at the right time, but the line didn't go at the right time.
Yeah.
And that one's on me.
Yeah. Sometimes too much adrenaline
Yeah.
is not your friend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was a great lesson I learned too. I had to really compartmentalize that's what hurt me. You know, at the time I thought it was what was going to keep me safe, but it actually worked in reverse. And that's a pretty good metaphor for life too, right?
Right. It is. It is.
You know, so yeah, but I'm back, baby.
You're back. So did that make it into the film, or did they have to do that car hit again?
They used it.
They used it?
Yeah,
Oh,
they used
good.
it, but they cut out of it so quick.
Before you get so high.
Yeah, but I have the behind the scenes. Someone was videoing it behind the scenes, and I'll show it to you someday.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just out of respect for the rigging team too. Again,
Sure.
they did everything perfectly. You know,
Right.
Nick Brandon, greatest rigger on the planet, the guy that was on the buttons for Luke Aikens, dropping 25,000 feet. Like these guys are the greatest on the planet.
Yeah.
And I still got hurt because I did something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah,
It happens.
it does. But we learn as we go.
All right. Yeah.
At least we hope we learn
I
as
think,
we go.
I mean, to this day, when I broke my neck doing the Batman and Robin show in Valencia, I still don't know for sure what happened because I came out of a self-locking carabiner clip. And it was connected to my ankle harness on a D-ring. And it connected to a weight system. So when I push a button, it would ratchet me, and then I'd be upside down, and it'd take me up about 20 feet.
And you came out of the beaner.
Dangle.
Oh.
When I got to the top of it, I came out
Oh, God.
of the beaner, and I free fell from an upside down kind of, tucked in position, bounced off part of the set, which was like an ice cream cone front, and then flipped around and landed on my back another 12 feet or so in the concrete.
Ice cream cone saved your life, bro.
Yeah, I did.
I love ice cream.
Love ice cream, man. But, was that a mechanical error, or because I never saw it, but it was supposedly checked, and they said no, the carabiner was fine.
I know a guy that's fallen out of a beaner too.
So, I don't know. I cannot explain how that happened.
Yep.
How did it take me all the way up there before it dropped me? You know?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like we're playing with fire.
Right.
9 times out of 10, we don't get burned, but every once in a while you're gonna catch some heat. Yeah. And you just hope that it's recoverable.
Yeah.
Right. If you can walk away from it, you're doing pretty good.
And even if it takes a few months, if you can still walk away from it.
I'll take the 8 to 10 month recovery as long as I'm not getting rolled around in a wheelchair, sipping my dinner through a bottle.
Yeah.
To me, that's always been the most terrifying thing is death or paralysis. To me, I'd rather die.
Yeah. I got a buddy who's going through that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, hard. Man, I'm going to get emotional, right?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I got a buddy. I don't know. You might know him. Chris Tardew.
Who is it?
Chris Tardew.
Stunt guy.
Stunt guy, yeah. But he was really good looking, talented, great Aussie guy, and Dublin Miles. I'm so bad with names. He was the guy that was in the last Top Gun movie. Miles, can't remember his last name, but one of those big, hot, actors.
Yep.
And he was a motorcycle guy, raced motorcycles, loved motorcycles, and just came around a corner, and there was a rock in the road, and that caused him to hit it, lose control, go off the side of the mountain, and
yeah, and it happens that fast.
It happens that fast.
Greatest stuntman to ever strap on a pad, Dar Robinson.
Yeah.
Did the most incredible things that to this day people are still like, you wouldn't catch me doing that.
Yeah.
And then he was going back to one on a motorcycle.
On a motorcycle, just going back to one.
Going back to one. Same deal. Got a little loose, flew off, internal injuries, and bled out before he could get help. So it's just like,
you just
never
know. Yeah.
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 It's crazy. That's why I'm trying to have some fun.
Right.
trying to have some fun every day.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow is never promised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing is, like you said, man, every day, making every day something to count.
Yeah. Some days you're gonna make a lot count, and other days probably not much, but you're still just realize,
Yeah.
If you don't feel like getting off the couch one day, you sure as hell better walk over and watch the sunset.
Right.
If even that's what you do today.
Even if that's what you do.
Yeah, because you might not see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful. It's good advice, man.
That's how I'm living, man.
Yeah.
I have to. I've been too close too many times and lost a lot of friends, and I'm just like, man, what a gift.
Right. What a gift.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
It's funny, just on a personal note, it was like last week or something like that, and I was just one of those days where kind of feeling sorry for myself, not like, I don't know what to do. I don't, what am I doing here now? Blah, blah, blah. Having a hard time getting moving. Lay down on the couch, and I'm just laying there and not doing anything. And then you're feeling bad about yourself. Like, get up and do something. But what do I want to do? And then my buddy Chris Tardew calls me, and I talked to him for a while.
Wow.
And I'm like, he's telling me what he has to go through.
Wow. Dude, how quick did that snap you out of your little...
And I'm like, what the hell are you complaining about, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important, man. And not to go off on a tangent here, but, I have this wristband on. This was our buddy Trevor Haberstad, right? One of the greatest, most good looking, did you ever meet Trevor?
I didn't. No.
Trevor was a force of nature, right? He was so smart, so good looking, so talented, like all of it. And we lost him to cancer, right? And I watched...
I remember that, yeah.
Yep. And I watched this guy that could do anything. Like, he could do anything. I watched him lose his health, mobility. I watched him lose it all. And I swore to myself, I'm never taking this off. And I haven't since the day we lost him. And I swore to myself that I'm never going to take for granted my health, waking up in the morning, sunrises, sunsets, nature, dogs, the people I love,
Yeah.
So this every day, if I'm having one of those days, those couch days, just look at this, dude, get your ass up, man.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
whatever our motivation is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, buddy. It's for sure. Well, we're kind of moving along pretty good here, and kind of going towards the philosophical side of things.
Oh, we haven't
already.
I thought that's what we just did for 45 minutes.
We're going to go some more. So.
Oh, man. All right. You're really going to make me cry today. Great.
So, you're kind of in the, you're set. You're kind of in with the guys they're hot, that are working, and you're getting work, and you're moving up. Then when does stunt coordinating come into the picture for you, and how does that develop?
That is a gradual process, right? And it's a multi-layered process, because if you get thrown into coordinating before you're ready, trust me, it'll show. So everyone's so eager to go from performing to coordinating, right?
Right.
But if you take that coordinating gig and you're not ready, you're going to shine like a new penny. Like everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh. So you can almost do yourself harm.
Right.
So I was very fortunate in the fact that I had some great mentors, right? And I'll just to name a few, like Jim Churchman, great mentor. Mike Massa, great mentor. R.A. Rondell, amazing mentor and friend to this day. Jeff Haberstadt, just guys that I looked up to, and I was like, okay, if I ever get the chance to coordinate, that's how I want to be, you know?
Yeah.
And so when you get your shot, I hope that you have amassed not just the right amount of stunt wisdom, because that's a thing. There's something between knowing how to do stunts and then there's stunt wisdom, right? Stunt wisdom is knowing every aspect of that particular gag or what could possibly go wrong. Like you've thought about this 100 times, where other people might just be like, oh, it's a car chase. Yeah, just make sure, you know, this, that. No, dude. It's not just that.
Right.
It's we get paid to think about the what ifs, right? And so I would watch R.A. Rondell, watch his thought process about how he would break down sequences and what could possibly go wrong. And he'd always come up and ask me, he's like, what am I missing? And to this very day, I asked my entire stunt team, what am I missing? Because my favorite quote is, not one of us is as smart as all of us. Think about that.
I love that.
And if you have been lucky enough to hire the people that are on your set, if you're the coordinator and you've hired these people, it's because A, you trust them, B, they're talented, and C, they're probably really smart. So why would you not draw on that pool. Collective knowledge, right? Yeah. But a lot of coordinators, and please forgive me for this, they're a little bit egotistical or hesitant to not only say, hey, maybe I don't know exactly the perfect way to do this, but I'm certainly not going to reach out to a lowly stunt person to ask.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh my God, why would you?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
why would you miss that opportunity?
Yeah.
Like, you have this wealth of knowledge here, and you've got all these sets of eyes. You're one set of eyes.
Right.
You know, so that's just one thing I've always tried to do is just include people on my team, and I invite them. And actually, I don't just invite them. I'm like, you better, if you see me doing something that's not sitting right with you or that I can do better, it is your job to come up and tell me. And I've had people save my ass.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've had them save my ass big.
Yeah.
And it was because I invited them to do that. Had I not.
So having these guys that you kind of, emulated and idolized and helped, to give you an example, to show you, and then also having the right people around you that they're going to be watching your back.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And knowing that, you can trust them.
That's it.
Their judgment.
Yep. And if you're lucky enough to assemble a stunt team from the ground up, you should be able to look around the room and trust any one of those people with your life. That's the way I look at it. What's going to happen when the shit hits the fan?
Right.
What are they going to do?
Right.
And if you've assembled the right team, each one of those people is going to run towards the danger. And so that's kind of how I like to take roll call when I'm looking around. Cool. Who's going to run towards the danger if shit goes sideways?
I like that.
Yeah. That's
because there's definitely two types, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, and we've seen them both.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's, hey, look, if you're the type that kind of frees up or you don't handle that situation well, that's fine.
Yeah.
But not on my stunt team.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not a good place to be.
No.
If that happens to you.
Yeah, I've seen some of the wildest shit go down.
Yeah.
That people were losing their minds. And there's certain people that I watched who got calm. They got so calm and so focused. And that gives me goosebumps because I was like, fuck, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they were the ones that handled the situation and handled it perfectly. But there was just people bounced, oh my God, God. And then you just see the people that just cut through that and they just laser focused
Yeah.
One intention.
It's interesting how that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people don't even know that about themselves until they're in that kind of a situation. Maybe
I think you're right there too.
Yeah.
How would you know until you're put there?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like to think, oh, this is what I do, but
yeah,
it's different when it actually
whole
happens.
different ball game when it's really going down. Yeah. But yeah, so I forgot what the question was, but I think it was about stunt coordinating and
it was basically how you got to that.
Yeah, I just got the shot. I got asked by Ari Rondell to co-coordinate the very first Avengers movie, which was a huge opportunity.
That's huge.
And that was my opportunity to start learning. That wasn't my opportunity to say, hey, I'm a stunt coordinator. That was me being able to finally be in the room when they were having those little meetings. Listening to how things really work behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And Ari Rondell he's not just a legend. That guy is probably one of the greatest human beings I've ever known.
I've had the privilege to work with him.
Have you?
Yeah.
He's a classic.
Logan Lucky, he was in town doing that.
Yep.
And it wasn't a big couple small things, but I doubled Daniel Craig on there. And
oh, nice.
And then R.A. was there, and he was on Hunger Games when I first came into town too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what
a lovely person.
He's an amazing human, but that guy's paid the price. And when I say that, he lost his brother.
Yeah.
Reed in a helicopter crash, right?
Yeah.
And he's lost, I don't even know how many friends in the stunt game. And yet shows up to work happy. How are we going to make this safe? A lot of guys, I don't know. I don't know. They might have just run away from that, but I think he dug his heels in, because when you're with RA, he was like I try to be. He's like, all right, what are we missing? How are we going to make this safe? Everyone's accountable for everyone, And to me, I thought that was awesome, because that's the way I'm projecting myself to my stunt teams, is everyone's accountable. The riggers, oh my God, these guys, those are my heroes.
Yeah, right.
A good rigging team.
Yeah.
I'll say this in any chance I get, I'll scream it from the mountaintop, is that the rigging team, they have 10 times the responsibility for half the recognition.
Yeah.
How fair is that?
Right. It's so true.
It's not fair. So the one thing I tell all my stunt teams is, like, if I ever see you sitting on your ass while any rigger is carrying a pad or moving gear, and you're just sitting there on your phone, seriously.
Yeah.
Get your ass up, help those guys, because they are the ones that are keeping y'all safe.
Yeah.
So I just have a huge amount of respect for all the rigging teams.
And those guys they're so grateful too. So if you're just one of the stunt players and there's riggers there and they're doing something, they're moving something, and you come over, they're always so happy and thankful that, hey, cool, man, yeah, come over.
Yeah, if there's any young stunt people watching this, or up and coming people that want to make it in stunts, set yourself apart, and there is no separation between the stunt team and the rigging team. You might have to go on the floor and practice choreo, and they might have to go rig something, but if there's a time where you guys can, do something together, or you can offer a helping hand, please make sure and do that.
Yeah.
Because we're all on the same team, and those guys work their asses off.
Yeah. And most of those guys were performers at one point. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
They've
good
all
ones.
done it.
Michael Huggins.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I've seen that guy do.
Really?
Oh, dude, I've seen that guy do shit that you would never see stunt kids do today.
Really?
Oh my God. I watched him do like full twisting gainers on an air ram into a dumpster from like 20 feet out.
My God.
And I'm just like, you'd never see anyone do that.
No.
And he'd just get up and, Michael, but if you didn't know that he was that skilled, you just think he was just a rigger, being just a rigger is fine. But they're, like you said, a lot of those guys are mad talented stunt guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. So then when did you get your shot doing second unit directing?
Second unit directing. Oh, I got my card, my DGA card on the third Purge movie.
Oh, the third Purge movie.
Yeah, I think it was
Cool.
I lost track. There was like Purge Anarchy, Purge Election Year.
Right.
They all kind
They
of
really
blur.
milked that one, didn't they?
I've been hit in the head a lot, man. No, please, I don't have a great memory.
Yeah.
But on the Purge movie, I got to go and direct some second unit, so I got my card. And then after that, I was lucky enough to fly to South Africa to second unit direct the Kissing Booth 2 and 3, which,
cool.
that was kind of a girly movie, but we
Yeah.
did some really cool action sequences. And
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I've got to check it out, man.
yeah, if you ask any girl under the age of 14 what Kissing Booth is,
They'll know.
oh boy. But so that was fun. I got to do some cool stuff out there. And then recently, last year was The Bondsman with Kevin Bacon. Got to
Yes.
direct
Yeah.
that. And
What
then
a great series. I loved watching that.
it was cool,
That was
right?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really bummed that it didn't get picked up. I don't know why. It had great ratings.
Yeah.
Kevin's great.
Because they just did the one season, right?
Yeah, they just did one season. And who knows? I don't even know what the model is anymore, man.
Yeah,
like with all these streaming platforms, it's
Yeah.
like they're trying to squeeze every last penny out of us, and they expect gourmet, and they're not giving us enough to go buy McDonald's,
Yeah.
And it's like I don't even know how it works anymore.
Yeah. Was that what server was that? Amazon or Netflix?
Amazon.
It was on Amazon.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. So did that, and then got to switch right over to Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Yeah, for James Gunn. So got to direct some action sequences on that, and that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome.
That's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, when does that come out?
I think late July or August, so just about a month from now or a
Late
couple months.
July or August.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's
Okay.
coming up quick.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing
Yeah,
that.
it'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, John Cena. I got a couple of days. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I got a couple of days on that,
Yeah.
by the way, and thank you for that. And John Cena was, he's just such a laid back dude. Like, I was so surprised,
Yeah.
to see him in person. He's just real cool and
Yeah,
laid back
and
and
very professional.
very professional.
Yeah, not what I expected,
Yeah.
And after doing this for so long, like how long have we been doing this together? We still expect to see the person that we've seen
Doing the wrestling.
in the movies or
Yeah.
the wrestling. Like, hey, it's John Cena. I thought that's how he was going to greet me.
Right.
And he's like, nice to meet you, I'm John.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Although, there was an exception to that.
oh,
I did a Three Ninjas movie years ago, and Hulk Hogan was in it.
okay.
Got to do a fight scene with Hulk Hogan, which was really cool. And while I'm in the makeup chair, and Hulk Hogan's a few stairs down, and in the trailer walks the Randy Savage, Macho Man.
Please tell me he didn't go, yeah. Did he break
He
into it?
talks like that all the time.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I would have
that's what
lost my mind.
His voice is always like, man. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's just you. Okay.
That's awesome, dude.
And the Big Show came there.
Okay.
Oh my God, that guy is so.
Was he big?
enormous. Oh my God.
Was he showy?
He was really new, really starting
Okay.
out at that time. So he didn't make too much of a show, but I remember Brett Jones was coordinating,
Okay.
and he comes up to Brett Jones, and he puts his hand on Brett's neck, and he goes all the way around his neck.
Fingers almost touched.
And Brett's like 6'2". He's a big
my
guy.
God, yeah.
And he goes, all I got to do is squeeze.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and Brett's no small guy.
No, he's
Yeah.
not. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this guy's 7 foot tall,
Yeah.
and he's this way is big too.
Yeah. Yeah, massive human.
Massive. So now, I'd like to kind of transfer to a little bit more of the philosophical side of things. Get maybe a little personal, but what I always like to ask is, what made you want to become a stuntman? Like, what drew you to this line of work? And what I mean is, like, what in your psyche, what in your character or your personality do you think it is that drew you to this way of living?
Oh, man. Okay. I'm just going to be completely forthright with you today.
Okay.